Hi everybody, come on in. It was watering day today and we've just finished lunch and I saved a few things. I thought, I better not do this without sharing it with you because we want to make sure that we do everything right so that every year when it's blooming time for us, we get lots of blooms like I did this year. And there's a few ways to make sure of that. And one of them is changing your fertilizer. Now, years ago, when I first started orchids, I used to watch Brad's greenhouse. He was on the coast and he did a lot of fells. And I don't watch much anymore because he got into a lot of things like plants that eat bugs and things. Still very interesting, but not as much as just all fells, which I had. But he always used to say he changed his fertilizer like Easter and Halloween, spring and fall. So, and I pretty well go by that most of the time. But I've been looking at my orchids lately, and I've decided to start my change in fertilizer because I want lots of root growth and lots of leaf growth. And then they need nitrogen. The more nitrogen they get for the growing season when they're really putting out lots of energy, you want to give them a really good supply. So 2 of my watering days, week 2 and 3, and today, and I always keep record, was week 2. So week 2 and 3 are my only watering weeks of my water schedule that I actually use bought fertilizer. And as far as the nitrogen goes, I have black tea on some watering days, high in nitrogen. I have seaweed extract. So they are getting it, but they're getting different enzymes and minerals and vitamins because I'm not always just using the same fertilizer. And my watering schedule I've been using for years, even though I did change the type of fertilizer, the bought one. And it has been, my orchids have been doing really good. And anybody who wants me to send it can just let me know by email or in the comments section of this video, and I will send you a copy. My email is caroline.orchidfriends@gmail.com, and I'll place that email, hopefully I remember, in the description under this video. So anyway, I was looking at my orchids and one of them's trying to grow 2 leaves at once. It had 1 leaf that it didn't finish last year. Some are getting new leaves and I think it's because spring is coming. The winters are we still got leftover snow all over the mountains and the morning temperatures are very cold. But in the daytime we've been getting in the high 50s, and if you're in the sun it's the 70s. And all the windows are getting lots of light. So that's telling the orchids to wake up. And it seems they're ready. They're telling me, I'm not telling them. They're telling me they're growing, they want to grow, and they want to be healthy and strong, and they want to gather all this energy for next year. So we'll talk about the other things they need in another video. So normally, for the blooming season, I've been using Schultz. It's 1827-18 2 MGO. Now, sometimes you can't find that one, but as long as your middle number's the high number, that is going to help, some people say, and I think so, help with your blooming. So you start that early, they get strong and they have lots of blooms. Well, mine are all blooming, and now they're saying they're not losing flowers, but they're saying, I want to grow. So now is the time, they're telling me to switch. So what am I switching to? So I had Schultz 1555, 15 being the nitrogen. And that was good, but I always wanted that last number to be high too, because the last number is for all overall health. So I was hunting, and then a year or two ago, someone said, try Cloud's Orchids, because they have a fertilizer that has the high last number and first number. And I used it last year, and I really liked it. And I'm going to see what the date was. August last year, August 2022. So I ordered the fertilizer. I ordered 4, and they're $10 a pack. And if anybody's in Salmon Arm and can't find something they like, let me know. I'll sell them one for $10 as long as I still have 2 for myself. So there's the price on it. You can see what I paid. And there's the information. You see, you have a more balanced fertilizer, 15.5, 15.5.2. So you have this is their fertilizer. It says to use during the active growth. So, and you don't use it every time you water. There is instructions here, and they say once every 2 to 4 weeks. Where I'm only not using it, I'll be using it just on my 2 fertilizer days of my 6-day water schedule. So that's just over a month and a half. So anyway, I did use it today, and I use 1/4 teaspoon to a gallon. And I found, because it's a granule, I boil some water and I put it in my little stainless steel cup, and I put it in and I stir it up before I put it in the sink or in my watering can for the ones I take to the shower, because sometimes if you just put it in the sink, some of it's going to sit there, and I want to make sure it's all diluted before it goes in the water. So I do that too. And then, so I did change. I'm all set for my new fertilizer for the whole year this year. Now, if you don't use that, just make sure you got your high nitrogen. You want a really good supply of nitrogen, and if you can find one with a high first and last number, any brand, then that is good, because you're getting overall growth and everything. So, so that's what the first thing I wanted to share with you. And the second thing I wanted to share with you, when I'm watering, and I didn't want to do a whole video because I get involved when I'm watering, and it takes me, say, from 9 o'clock to about 11 o'clock. It takes me 2 hours to 2.5 hours. But today I did a lot of checking. I have these little makeup pads that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. So they're only $1.25. And with the same water that's in my sink, my water for my water schedule, I take one of these, and every leaf got a wipe with it. So the leaves were also soaking up some of the nutrition from the watering schedule today. But first I take my orchid and I run it under water just so that I don't burn my roots. And then I have my sink full, and I put them all in, except for the ones I put under the shower. So I check very carefully under the leaves, and you look for scale or any kind of bug. They can be white, they can be, you know, some of those little scales, they'll change to match the color of the flower. You'll see lighter little dots, or you'll see black dots. And when I see them on the leaves, I wipe them off. Very gently with the water I'm watering with, I wipe them off. And today, and it didn't take all that long, I've checked all my leaves. Then you want to also check your flowers, because we talked in the last video about what scale does. It eats into the leaf, it eats into the stem, it eats into the flower, and they get that gel, and then they poop it out and make sticky stuff on your leaves. And that is not honey sap. That's honeydew. So that's not happy sap. That's sad sap. So that's not a good thing. So if you see on your leaves or your stems sticky stuff, and it's not in a nice little crystal little ball or a droplet shape, but it's kind of spread all out down the leaf and it's all sticky, I would be hunting very carefully. So that's what I did today with all my orchids. I do it occasionally. I'm always looking, but every once in a while I'll pick a day and I'll get real serious and look everywhere. So I did all the leaves, and I did find some, and then the next step is the flowers. I have noticed over the years, and I've seen videos with people with them on their flowers, always watch the flowers, because they go for them. They go for the little stem that leads to the flower. They go for any part of the flower, and I'm going to show you a close-up of this one, but I did clean some, and what I use is a Q-tip. And sometimes, depending on how bad they are, I use one of these little things in the same water. Just plain water, nothing else. Because if you keep up a schedule and are always looking for these things, you'll never have a big breakout of a bad disease from all these bugs, because you're always on the lookout for it. So I'm going to give you a real close-up of what I've got, because some people say, well, what am I looking for? And so I'm going to just get you real close here and show you how I do it, because I left one to show you. So let me see. I think I'm going to move that up a bit. Wrong button, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. Tighten that up. Okay, first I'm going to wet this under the water. Okay. You can use distilled water or rainwater if you have a little bit, but I just use my tap water. Now, I'm going to bring this as close as I can get, and I'm going to show you. Now, see right here. I have to go closer. So right here, you see these two things? They are not supposed to be there. There. So if you take your Q-tip and you wipe on them, you'll get them. And now you know that you have some, then check everywhere. Check. I'll get a little bit of water on this. What you have to do is also check up and down here. You can wipe that very gently. And even on the petals, like right here, it's a very, sometimes you look at it and you say, well, is that scale, or is that, I'm going to turn them around a bit. Whoop. I'm going to take it off of here. Just want to get, I want to make sure that you get it. So, So I always look, you know, and some of them, they're very light. And I will rub with a makeup pad. I just did it with my thumb. But I would rub with the makeup pad, like right here. It's very light colored, and even you can maybe see holes where they've made holes. So you have to go right even in here, and this orchid here probably shows it better. See? You want to make sure you're going in and you're cleaning all this up. Now, if it's quite bad on a leaf for some reason, this orchid, now these are the two orchids that I put in this pot that they had a really rough time and they weren't doing good, and I put them together, and you can tell they almost didn't make it. There's some right here on this leaf. All this has to be cleaned off, and you want to look way down in here. But you can tell by the leaves that the plant struggled. And this one started to come on, you know, and it didn't get as many little bugs. So when you start looking, you want to clean all this off. And I'm quite ruthless. I will take my cloth and I will wipe here until I've got them all. Now I'm holding the camera, so it's very hard. But I will actually wipe all that off, even at the risk of hurting the flower a little bit, and go down the stem, and then go down this stem too. And you may find sticky stuff, and it's not happy sap. So you want to clean all that up. So that's what I did with all my orchids today. And it pays off. It pays off to always be in control. And the other place you want to look is even inside. In here, sometimes under the curl, you'll see, and way in the back. And you can take a Q-tip and you can reach way in there. So because it's easier, I'm going to be finishing with this one. But we're going to go around and look at orchids, and I'm going to explain a couple things of why I have changed fertilizer and things you could watch for. So we'll start over here. The cymbidium's still opening the last. Now this is happy sap that we explained in the last video. Quite different little droplets. It's not smeared all down the stem or the leaf. So the last ones are starting to open now. And all of my orchids I checked. So this one here has a new leaf trying to come. And because it's got its flower and it's still putting out buds, I am still switching my fertilizer. And the same with Mini Mart. She has 3 beautiful blooms, and the leaves, I definitely want more good growth. So she has good roots because we had her out her pot not long ago and we did check. So I see lots of good growth. And the little Peloric orchid, she's got more buds coming too. So then we'll go over here. This is my older orchid that I knocked 2 buds off of this morning. So down in here, right here, this orchid is doing 2 leaves at once. This orchid wants to grow, and her other leaves, these were all orchids that were not large orchids, but they weren't happy, and I put them all in here, and they're really starting to get nice leaf growth now. And this one's going to try too. I see something in here. Do you see that? And pick that off when you see one. Yeah. I have a real good light above my sink, and if you don't have a good light, borrow your husband's shot light if you have a husband. Anything that can help you to see better. And also here, Georgia Pearl has a nice leaf. She wants to grow. This is why. Up here, this is my big lip fell. The only big lip I have, and she's still in bud, but I changed them all. Here we see the temperature by this window is 66 and the humidity is 54. I don't run the misters on watering day. This is the white orchid. It was a Mother's Day gift. It's doing really well, getting lots of leaves. My other white orchid is the one from the garden show. I'll show you. And up here I made some changes this morning too. What I did was, there was just too much weight because these flowers naturally would hang down. But they grew up, so they were just pulling the plant out until it gets some roots. So what I did was I tied them up so that the plant stays in without me having to put a boulder on top of it. So that seems to be working better. The roots are staying in. It's nice and humid in there right now. And I am watering twice a week. I am doing it just as if they were in pots. But they are getting a little more humidity because only 2 air holes are at the top and drainage at the bottom. And they also are getting more light, so that's part of the experiment. But being we don't live in a real humid area, this is something that has to be. So, and this orchid that I got last year, it did not get any floppy leaves. I changed them all. Yes, I do. I changed them all ASP. They're all coming moss here in Salmon Arm. And I changed them to bark as soon as my bark is soaked. I do not get floppy leaves anymore because I soaked the bark for 3 days. And I do not lose my flowers. You may lose 1 or 2, but very seldom. So this one's happy. It's settled in quite nice from last year, April 12th. It seems quite happy. So, and this is how we want yours to be next year. All in bloom. Now this white orchid is from many years ago. I did a garden show for the Salmon Arm Garden Club, and I had a white orchid there. It was this one, but I'm afraid it took a shot because this is the one that last year I had to cut the leaf off because it had black mold. Now nothing went to any other part of the plant, but it lost a couple leaves in here. So it took a shock, and it seems to be coming back now, luckily. And I don't know why, but I nabbed it quick enough, and I think we're going to be fine. It'll get nice new leaves, and it'll be okay. But they're all trying to get more buds, but they're also trying to get leaves. So I want all over energy. That's what I want. This one here, it's so beautiful. You know, I've noticed when these ones get scale, they're almost the same color. They go lighter. They change their color. The ones on these ones will go lighter, and you really have to hunt for them. But you know when you wipe one, if that's what you've got. The only other one I had to clean up real bad this morning was this one, and I was very ruthless with the backs of the petals. But you have to be, and even in here. So it doesn't really bother them too much. and it's better than having the bugs. And we got another new leaf, the one that got put in. This one's trying to grow. So I looked at that, and you check yours out, and if they're just coming into flower, you don't have to rush. So you sort of can't be one rule for everybody. You have to sort of make it to suit you. And that's what I've done. And my dendrobium, still in bloom, just beautiful. The other one is definitely dead. I got the roots out in the patio. They're not going to do anything. They're just, what happened was they were mushy and then they just turned to hollowness and dryness. So I'm afraid that's how it went. And I just wanted to share with you with that, and then I'll show you what I have to do now. Now, we have a Samsung stove. And last time, a few years ago, I used the timer, the oven cleaner thing, and it blew the oven gauge so that the oven wouldn't work at all. And we have to get somebody to repair Samsung ovens all the way from Kelowna. So Jack YouTube videoed it, and he fixed it, but we can't use the automatic cleaner. And I have a friend that lost an eye from getting a splash of oven cleaner in her eye. Her eye turned a funny kind of blue, and she's lost her vision permanently. And I have a fright of doing it. So I YouTubed the cleaning of my oven. And yesterday, the door, I had put a chicken in and hadn't put a lid on, and the fat had splashed all over, and this was filthy. So yesterday I did an experiment with baking soda, water, and white vinegar, and Dawn blue detergent. A little of each, put them in and made a paste, and it cleaned the oven door beautiful. So yesterday I left this soaking, and when I was watering the orchids, I misted it with some more vinegar. So I'm going to be wiping the rest of this off, and it should come off pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to say, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to sit and read. So bye for now, and take care. Love you all. Bye for now.